Legal Talk on eRadio with Hahn and Hahn attorneys. Today, again, joined by Janusz Luterek from the firm, and we're talking about something a little uncomfortable. I found a cockroach in my food. Can I sue? Oh, Janusz, how's it going? Are you well?
Yes, just extremely hot today. It's 38 or 39 degrees here in Pretoria, and we're all melting.
I hope it's going to cool down, a bit of a thunderstorm, and then cool down a bit, hopefully for you. Janusz, so now I found a cockroach in my food. Who do I report this to?
So that's a very good question. You know, restaurants and actually any food business must have something called a certificate of acceptability, sometimes called a COA. And if you walk into a restaurant or a fast food, you'll see on the wall they have a certificate issued by the city council, what we used to call the health department. They now have a different name. It's now referred to the environmental health practitioner. And they issue a certificate to a restaurant, and this means it's been inspected and it complies with hygiene and food safety regulations. Very importantly, it complied with it when it was opened and when it was last inspected. On the day you are there, of course, the situation might be different. But if you are dissatisfied with a real food hygiene or food safety issue, so you walk in and you see, but you know, the floor's filthy, the counter's not clean, you see cockroaches crawling out from behind something that's stuck to the wall or whatever, then you could report this to the municipal environmental health practitioner. As I said, they used to be called health inspectors. And that you would report at your local municipal office. So you don't report it to Department of Health in Pretoria. You will report it to whichever city or town you're in at their municipal offices. And just remember, seeing one cockroach that happens to fly past and land on your table or something is not a hygiene issue, because these things happen. I'm talking about a filth and grime situation where you see, but this floor clearly hasn't been washed for weeks and walls are dirty and so on.
Okay, well, let's say we go to a restaurant now and there's a cockroach in the food. But luckily I saw the cockroach, so I didn't eat it. Can I now sue the restaurant for millions?
Well, if you saw it and never ate it, didn't get sick, then actually the only claim you have is for a replacement or a refund of your meal. If the place is generally filthy and unhygienic, maybe you can refuse to finish the whole meal, not just the one plate, and demand a refund for your whole meal. But in terms of the Consumer Protection Act, there's no way you could sue someone simply because you saw the cockroach and didn't eat it. And I'm sure you've all heard this bad joke about where the guy says to the waiter, waiter, there's a fly in my soup. And the waiter says, shh, or everybody will want one. You know, so that's about what you can get.
And that's it. Okay, but let's say now it gave me a fright, and I don't think I'll ever be able to eat that type of food again. It really made me sick for life now. I don't want to see it ever again. Surely I can now claim for emotional distress?
So this question gets asked quite often. People say, but when I opened the bag of something, I saw there was a bug inside, and now I can never eat that again. And unfortunately not. In our legal system, a short-term fright is not a ground for a claim in court. So you can't sue for getting a fright which a normal person would have then just moved on. An hour or 2 hours later, it would have just been a story to tell their friends around a braai. Meanwhile, you say you are now so petrified that you can never eat this thing again. If your fear is irrational, then there's no claim that you can have.
Okay, so let's say I only saw half of the cockroach and now I think I ate the other half of it. And then I got home and I was like sick and throwing up for days. What can I do?
Yeah. So this is very different, because in such a case, of course, first of all, you could demand the refund. But secondly, you could claim for your damages, what we call economic loss, which includes your medical expenses. Maybe you would have had to go to a doctor. Maybe you would have had to go to hospital. Loss of income for the days you couldn't work. You know, if you were so sick, maybe you missed 3, maybe you missed 5 days at work. Maybe you need to get a helper to help you if you're living alone at home. Someone has to take the kids to school. So all of this has money implications. And because it was caused by the food, by the half cockroach that you ate or that was in your food, then you would be able to claim for that. Also, in such an instance where you were actually ill, lawyers speak of something called general damages. In the old days, we used to call it pain and suffering or emotional distress. And you may be able to claim a few thousand for that. It's not 1 million, it's not 10 million. You may be able to get a few thousand for that. But effectively, you can claim what it cost you, not some exorbitant amount.
Okay, well, I see in America, people claim millions for getting sick from a cockroach in their meal, and they actually get it. So it doesn't work that way here in South Africa?
No, unfortunately, I always tell people, this is not America. Look on a map, look in your wallet, you'll see we use rands, not dollars. Our legal system is different. We do not have a punitive damages system. We don't have a jury. Our courts will award recovery of your actual expenses, losses, and maybe a little bit for pain and suffering from being very ill for a few days. In America, you'll present your case and there'll be these jury members sitting there, which are members of the public, and you cry in front of them, and it's very emotional, and they feel really sorry for you, and they say, we need to teach this restaurant a lesson. We will award this guy $5 million. So you didn't suffer $5 million of damages. The $5 million is to punish the restaurant. Our legal system doesn't have such a concept. Your claim is to recover what you lost. If someone has to be punished, the EHP should prosecute them criminally and they get a fine.
Okay, Janusz, but now, worst case scenario, what if I actually died?
Yeah, so, well, obviously, if you died, you can do nothing, but presumably your family or somebody will want to do it. If you had died, then, of course, the liability is a lot more, because then they would have to pay for the support of your family, assuming they have enough money. If you've eaten at a small little restaurant, or what I call a hole in the wall, chances that guy can support your family for the rest of your life or rest of their lives is pretty small. But if it's a big chain you've been to, they would have insurance, and then the insurance would have to cover the loss of support, as we call it. And those claims could be for many millions. If you think of car accidents and the old third-party claims, if a breadwinner was killed in an accident, the claims could be for many, many millions. You've got to support the children, the school, the university. Same principle would apply here. But of course, it all comes down to, do they actually have the money to pay you?
Well, let's say now I reported the cockroach in my meal to the local EHP. What would happen next?
Sure. So I got to say this. It depends where you are in South Africa. In some cities and towns, the municipal functions work well. The EHP will take your complaint seriously. And if you are in such a place, and obviously if your complaint is serious enough, you make it clear, you send photos, look, this place was really dirty and there was this cockroach, etc. Then what would happen is the EHP could come, inspect the place, and if in the EHP's opinion it poses an ongoing health hazard, they could order closure of the restaurant until it meets hygiene and food safety standards. They could then order them to do a deep clean, fix cracked windows and tiles, put insect extermination equipment in place, put rat traps in place. But assuming it's a normal type of business and the person is a real businessman, they would be open again in a couple of days to a couple of weeks once they've done all of this. It's not a permanent closure.
Okay.
The EHP has that power to close a restaurant.
Okay, so they won't be prosecuted, per se.
Well, in very rare cases, a restaurant or any food business will be prosecuted. But the fines are quite small, and the EHPs rather order temperature closure and cleaning, etc., get the place up and running and fit to serve food again. The one thing which we consider a lot in South Africa is, what about the poor employees? So if you close a restaurant that's owned by an owner who couldn't care less, but he employs 5 waiters, 5 kitchen staff, when you close that restaurant, you punish everyone, not just the owner.
Yeah.
So what they tend to do is they want to keep the place running, but obviously get it up to standard. Prosecutions are very rare. I'm, in fact, not even aware of one where prosecution took place.
Sure. So, Janusz, people seeing stars in their eyes, dollar signs or rand signs when they find something in their food or even a worm in their salad, it's not realistic in South Africa.
No. When you find that cockroach in your meal, it's not the golden ticket like in the Willy Wonka bar in the movie. You didn't win the lotto and now you're going to retire on your cockroach farm, No. Not at all. Be careful where you eat. and that's about all I can say to you.
Yes, be careful where you eat, definitely. Janusz, thank you so much for answering that question today. We appreciate your knowledge and your time. It was great chatting to you again.
It's a great pleasure. Good as always to chat to you.
Are you or your business in trouble and struggling to find a solution? Call Hahn & Hahn Attorneys as we assist clients in finding solutions. We specialize in consumer and food law, commercial and construction law, forensic investigations and administrative law. Visit hahnlaw.co.za. That's HAHN. We assist clients nationwide. Hahn & Hahn Attorneys, because we care. Don't miss Legal Talk with Hahn & Hahn Attorneys, Wednesday mornings at 10 on eRadio.